Okay, so let's get into the drill spacing and overview for cloudy clear. So the equipment, we have 2 rings. These are tackling rings, preferably the bigger, thicker ones, but it doesn't really matter as long as they have the ability to roll. We have 2 ring bearers or ring rollers. Okay, it's usually myself and then our assistant, Jackson York. Okay, then there's 2 lines. Okay, so I'll tell the LBs to split up into 2 lines. Okay, the linebackers typically will go feet, toes on the sideline, facing the field. The backs will typically go top of the numbers or somewhere around there, okay, facing the sideline. So we're trying to create a line of scrimmage here. Okay, that's the line of scrimmage. We have a running back at running back depth, a linebacker at linebacker depth, and we're trying to simulate the line of scrimmage in a gap. Okay, so you can see the drill spacing. 2 people, 2 ring bearers, 2 rings right there. Okay, so here are the variations for the drill. All right, we have an open gap, all right, or a clear gap. Okay, in that case, the rings won't move. We have a closed gap or a cloudy gap. All right, that's when both rings pinch up. Then we have a jump cut right or left, all right, which would be a cloudy gap. That's when one ring closes the gap. And then we have a wide flow right or wide flow left, which could end up being cloudy or clear depending on the tempo of the rings and what happens at the finish. In that case, both rings are rolling in one direction together to create a wide flow. The ball carrier adjusts their path based off the rings. Okay, so the ball carrier and the ring rollers are coordinated together. The back is adjusting based off what the rings do. Okay, but those are the variations. Okay, I'm going to show you the ground level from a running back point of view. All right, so that you can get the drill mechanics and how we coordinate with each other. So again, the setup here. All right, we have our 2 rings. All right, we have our running back here. Okay, he's right here. Our linebacker right here. Okay, you can see the spacing. All right, so these 3 people, ring holder 1, ring holder 2, and the back need to be coordinated and need to know what's happening, all right? We don't want him to know what's happening before. Remember, this is a reactive drill. So how do we do that? I'll give a hand, all right, pre-snap, saying what the variation is going to be. So if I point in this direction, that means I want Jackson's ring, all right, to close when the running back presses the gap. Okay, and the running back knows he's going to press the gap now, and he's going to jump cut off the ring that's rolling. Okay, so 1 finger pointing that way, 1 ring rolling from that direction. Okay, and we get the jump cut. Bryce, our backer here, all right, stays square as he's shuffling. All right, he tracks the running back to the jump cut inside out. Okay, we want the running backs here to be able to press the gap for as long as they can. All right, and when that gap closes up, now they can make their move on the jump cut. All right, the finish, we always want it to be inside out, and we want it to be in a great football position. Bryce is a little bit longer. He can get away with this, but would love for him to leave no doubt about this. I want him to get hip to hip, tagged between the hip and the knee. All right, that's the target on the back hip right there. Okay, if you're in pads and you want to ramp this up a little bit, you can finish with a thud. I just, for the purposes of it being the off season, and then during the season to take, some hits off our guys. All right, I typically keep this as a speed tag off drill. All right, but it definitely can turn into a thud drill if you have pads on. Okay, here's the next variation. Okay, so we had 1 ring rolling that way. All right, now you can see. All right, I got two fingers pointing that way. That means my ring and Jackson's ring are going to roll that way, and the running back will take a wide flow path on that angle toward the moving gap. Okay, so now you see the wide flow. Running back ends up, he's got a choice now. He can gas it outside, he can cut back through the gap, or he can cut back all the way inside the second gap, all right? The whole time I want the linebacker to stay square, all right? I want him to stay on the back hip. So for Prince here, Prince should probably stay a little bit more inside out on this. Okay, that way if Langston wants to run it outside here, Prince can accelerate and tag off on the inside hip, all right? Next variation. Okay, 2 going that way again. All right, so this is going to be wide flow. Same thing as last play. All right, Ty ends up seeing space out there, so he ends up gassing it out there. Rinaldi ends up tagging that thing off inside out, tracking it for the tackle. Okay, next variation. You see my fingers? I got 2 fingers pointing in this direction. So Carson sees it, Jackson sees it. Okay, we're going to go both rings wide flow in that direction. Okay, Carson's going to take his path off the rings. Okay, you can see here, wide flow. All right, Carson ends up cutting it back all the way. I don't want the cutback to be this drastic. He really should just go right off the hip as we jump cut or we cut back right off the hip of the ring bearer. Okay, but Jameson, the linebacker here, does a good job of staying square. All right, because he's square, he's able to push back square into C Daddy, and he's able to make the tackle there. All right, but again, the variations, when I go wide flow, I can either gas it outside as a runner, I can go through the middle, or I can cut it back. Carson chooses to cut it back. All right, we want to stay in phase, we want to tag off inside out. Okay, here we go right here. Okay, so next command, I got fist closed, that's closed gap. So both of us are going to roll our rings and pinch the gap up, and then the runner can cut either way off that direction. So here we go, close gap, running back, press the gap, okay, downhill, and then the backer needs to stay clean and track this thing inside out on the finish. Okay, close fist again, so both rings will roll, pinch the gap up, running back presses the gap, jump cuts. All right, now, really important because this is as much a footwork and a tackling drill as it is a run fit drill, okay? We need Brian here, okay, to stay inside out and stay square. He gets into a zippered up position here. He crosses over. He's liable here for Bryce to take him for a ride and for Brian to end up being the nail instead of the hammer. As long as he stays square and he stays inside out, he's able to push into the tackle and he's able to get body on body with this thing. This should be a right shoulder tackle. He should finish inside out. Brian knows it right after that. Okay. Another variation, open hand. All right, so open hand, gap stays open. No rings move. We get a clear gap, and the running back now presses it downhill. All right, he can accelerate through there. All right, the backer should accelerate through once he knows the running back's going to accelerate. When he accelerates, I accelerate. All right, and then we're playing our open gap. Here's 2 again, going in this direction, so both rings are going to roll. Nice job here, Brian, of pressing the gap as the runner, and then really good job, Bryce, of staying square as he tracks it, inside out. He's not blocking himself. He's staying above the trash as he tracks Brian to that tag off right there. Good job movement, good job footwork there. Okay, 1 ring again, so pointing that way, Jackson's going to roll his ring. The jump cut, good finish for PK there. Okay, this is another, so right now I get 1 finger, all right, pointing in my direction, so that means I'm going to roll the ring. Ty's going to press this gap, and he's going to jump cut into that space right there. Rinaldi's going to press it, okay, forward shuffle, end up inside out, finishing with a tag off on the tackle. 2 going in this direction, so both our rings are going to roll. There, Prince is going to take his wide flow path and then make his decision based off what the backer's doing. Okay? This is a nice job by Prince right here. He presses the gap, all right, changes his tempo, and ends up gassing it outside. On this one, would love for Langston to stay clean as he tracks this thing. All right, this is a D lineman or an O lineman, and we don't want to block ourselves. So this drill teaches us to stay clean, stay above the trash. That way I can track this thing inside out, and I don't get caught up in the wash and block myself here. All right, the other reason I like this drill too is because it can be competitive. All right, it can be competitive. Prince and Langston had a little bit of a rivalry here. They built kind of a rivalry through the offseason with this drill. All right, but I like it. All right, this is iron sharpens iron right here. All right, this is very realistic in terms of a running back's pace and tempo. Langston's got to be able to stay above the trash and end up tagging off on the hip. Okay, so I've showed you the running back view. Now I'll show you the sideline view just so you can get a feel for what it looks like up top. Okay, again, the drill mechanics are between the three of us right here. Okay, this is one ring roll. All right, for Jackson, good job for Brian tracking the back. I got my gap. My gap closes up. It's cloudy. I'm going to tag off inside out. Now I'm rolling the ring. Okay, jump cut to the right for the jump cut to the tackler's right for the ball carrier. All right, press the gap, tag inside out on the finish. This is a wide flow. All right, Bryce, he sees air in there, which is okay. As long as he's on line with the ball carrier, I'm okay with him gassing it through that gap. If that thing gets a little more cloudy, all right, a little bit sooner, I would see Bryce tempo in this thing and then making his decision based off where the back cuts right here. But JMO stays through the gap. He stays on line with him, so Bryce takes his line and he suffocates the space right there. Same thing here, wide flow. PK feels the same thing. He feels like the gap is open and that he's on line with the running back and he can make this thing. All right, again, if Langston were to be going with speed out there, I would expect Prince to tempo himself, stay clean, and then finish outside the gap there. So Jackson's rolling his ring. JMO's closing space, inside out, cloudy gap, straight inside out to the next available window. Langston here, tracking it inside out, forward shuffle, under control. He's able to pace the runner. Again, these guys they have a little bit of a rivalry going, which is good. Prince is making it realistic. All right, I would want Langston to push one more step into that tackle to leave no doubt about it. Okay, here's the linebacker ground level view. So we've seen the drill mechanics, we've seen the sideline view. Now we got the drill from the linebacker perspective here, so you can see how realistic it is in terms of opening and closing gap. All right, so Brian's pressing downhill. That's his gap. Gap closes up. Jump cut of the running back. Finishes inside out. Jump cut the other way now. All right, Langston's a good job. Again, the movement is so critical here. We need to stay twitchy and coiled up. All right, we're shuffling. Weight on the balls of our feet. Weight on the insteps. We're able to push with power. All right, into our jump cut. All right, square is strong. I'm able to push through. I'm able to make that play and leave no doubt about it. Open gap here, all right? So it's clear, all right? Track the back accelerates, we accelerate, and we finish and meet him in the hole, okay? If the back were to see color, like a lot of backs do, they see us in there, he could end up jump cutting out there. We stay clean and stay controlled, and our tempo's enough that we can go out there. I believe football's played at two speeds, controlled and accelerated, okay? This is a controlled tempo to start, and then we want to accelerate on the finish, whether that's inside out on a tag in the hip or right downhill in a face in the fan tackle. Same thing here on the jump cut. Leave no doubt about the finish. Okay, really good job right here from Rinaldi. All right, so this is going to be a wide flow. to the right here. Okay, so he's able to track this thing. Notice how he stays square. All right, he has the gap leveraged up. All right, the runner detaches rather than waste ourselves in that gap. He ends up scraping over the top. He's square. He's using really good footwork mechanics, pushing into the drill, and then end up cutting back. So really nice job there on that. Here's a quick drill modification, just in case you don't have the equipment necessary or you don't have the help. All right, so we're fortunate where we have help here at Vandy. If you had nobody else to help you with the drills, or you just wanted to do a stationary drill, you can set somebody up right here to just hold the ring, or if it's even a pop-up bag or some kind of stationary piece right there, you can have that there, and you can run essentially half the drill here where you're rolling the ring or you're moving the object, and then you're working on cloudy or clear in that direction. So we didn't have in the spring, I mean, I trust our manager, Chris, to be able to run the drill with me, but I just said, you know what, don't worry about it. Let's get some reps in. I'm going to be the one that controls the ring. All right, if you should so choose, you can do this as well. All right, and then the other reason I want to put this on here is because we're in full pads here, so wanted to end this with a thud. All right, so obviously we get a good chance to practice tackling here, good tackling positions, not taking anybody to the ground, but we're finishing in a good thud tempo. All right, another example right here. Okay, is it cloudy or clear? All right, it gets cloudy. All right, running back scrapes, linebacker scrapes inside out. Okay, here's the application. So some of the reps that you can see, and the more we started using this drill in the spring and the summer, we really saw improvement with a lot of our gap and our plug fits here. So watch Bryce right here. Okay, his primary gap right now is the B gap. Okay, so he's fitting the B gap. All right, but gap is cloudy. All right, that gap's cloudy. All right, the ball's also not in it. So Bryce is thinking, I'm staying square. I'm going to scrape to the ball, stay clean, and then finish inside out with a tag off.